And from Columbus, Ohio, I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech, aka if you're watching, you can see my shirt, aka who made the potato salad. So that's what I'm gonna be asking this week. Looking forward to family coming in town so I can see what's up on this potato salad and other things that are also important, but not as much.
Did you see this video where it is a family and they're having a family meeting? And it's a bunch of them. It's probably 15 to 20 folks. And they're basically discussing who's going to cook what, who's going to cook what with who, and basically how things are going to go down. And what was just really funny is that there was two folks that was going to be making the potato salad. And somebody suggested to somebody's auntie or grandmama or somebody that she should just get together with this other person and they make the potato salad together. And it was the funniest thing of how this is a very politically savvy woman, but she basically, I'm gonna shorten it up. She's like, hell no, like that ain't gonna happen. But she was making, she had way more proof about it, as my grandmother would say, and just explained as to why. It's like, well, we can both make the potato salad, but the togetherness in the making the potato salad, that's not gonna happen. And I'm looking at folks who are like, I don't understand. I'm like, what was there not to understand? It's like you don't mix, but potato salad chefs don't collaborate. It's like you make your stuff, you let somebody else make theirs, but you don't want no collaboration going on, because if it ain't on point, then who's gonna take the blame?
Well, that's not the video that stuck to me. The video stuck to me was I don't know if it was a parody or if it was a real conversation, but somebody was telling people like, hey, Thanksgiving is not the time for you to be experimenting. I'm gonna need you to come with it for Thanksgiving and make it personal. My wife was talking to me yesterday about some experimental stuff she was gonna try. I was like, all right, don't do it. It's a very noble cause, something very important that especially Black folks need to adhere to as it relates to health and diet and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, try it tomorrow, try it on Friday, try it next week. Don't try it on Thanksgiving.
You experiment if you want to, but if you experiment and it ain't right on Thanksgiving, you run the risk of your cooking being talked about for the better part of a century. If you,
I don't think it's. I'm be honest. I don't think it's that bad. But what will happen is cooks, they really want people to. They want to see the look on people's face when they taste the food, right? And if you bite into something that don't have the taste or the flavor that you're used to, the cook themselves will take all that extra guilt, and that'll be something that you won't be able to. You'll lose sleep at night. Everybody around the table at Thanksgiving not liking your food. That's something that people call therapy for. So I would suggest, as the person making the food and the person wants to see the delight on people's faces when they bite into it, don't try nothing on Thanksgiving.
Just don't try it. So y'all, this is another just a two of us show. I talked to Stephanie yesterday. She will definitely be back next week. So the week after Thanksgiving, she will be returning. But Terrance, you and I just gonna hold this one down. And man, we are in Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving is just a few days away, and there aren't a lot of tech stories going on, but there's a lot of tech stories going on. It's kind of like it's not big news. It's just like a lot of different stuff.
In my opinion, it's the news tech people should be talking about. But when it's slow, when it's fast, everything is the quick, the bait link type stuff. What's going on Apple, what's going on Facebook, what's going on with Twitter, what's going on with these popular tech companies. And then when they get kind of quiet, it's like, oh, we need to actually report on tech news. So that's what this week is about.
So, well, you know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about what's going on with Taylor Swift and Ticketmaster. Now, let me first start off and say this. I know that Taylor Swift is immensely talented, but I'm just not her demographic. I am certain that if you played a popular Taylor Swift song, I probably would recognize it and could even tell you the name. I just can't think of one off the top of my head. but she basically is crashing Ticketmaster, selling tickets to the point to where you now have Congress people who are looking into, it's like, you messed up with these Taylor Swift tickets. Are you a monopoly? Do we need to break you up? I mean, those kind of questions are actually being asked. But, you put this link in here. What's your take on everything that's going on with Ticketmaster and just how big Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift might actually be?
I'll be honest. I don't think Taylor Swift is that big. I think this is the straw that broke the camel's back. And what I mean by that is, and I'll throw a little conspiracy theory stuff in there. It just seems like, yes, Taylor Swift is a big draw. She can pull a lot of people, but so is Beyonce. So is some of all these other people, right? I just think that with the demand of what Taylor Swift brought for these initial quote unquote pre-sale tickets and all of the rumors, the conspiracy theories and things that other artists have been complaining about for years as it relates to Ticketmaster and quote unquote, whether or not it's a monopoly or not. I think it all came to head with this Taylor Swift thing. So let me preface it. Taylor Swift has not been on tour for a couple years now. She's had a couple of releases, albums, EPs, music, whatever release since the last time she been on. Last time she was on tour, she had some issues with her and her publishing rights. She had a problem with her and her manager. All that means she hasn't been on tour for the past couple of years. In COVID, of course, right? So she hasn't been on tour for a couple of years. Decided she has announced a tour. Ticketmaster is one of the few, if not only, places that you can get tickets like this. A pre-sale was announced. People flooded Ticketmaster, crashed Ticketmaster. My conspiracy theory tells me it wasn't the fans that crashed Ticketmaster. It was these resellers or people creating bots that will jump online and buy up all the tickets and then immediately turn around and resell them for twice, thrice, quadruple, in Taylor Swift's case, hundreds, multiples for these tickets, to where you couldn't, regular people like you and me wanted to go buy a ticket. We couldn't buy a ticket on Ticketmaster because it's sold out. Or you can go to a reseller like StubHub, whatever other resellers. They were selling them for $30, $40, $50, $90,000 a ticket, right? So that leads me to believe that it wasn't just regular people running in here and crashed the Ticketmaster site. It was something else going on, whether it be bots, which are technically legal because they're not illegal. But it also, my conspiracy theory tells me, and this is like, work with me here, right? I think Ticketmaster, because they have such a lockdown on event production and event distribution as it relates to tickets, I think, or I've heard, or I got a cousin that works at Ticketmaster. That sounds better. I got a cousin that works at Ticketmaster and says Ticketmaster was letting these bots or letting these third-party resellers come in here, grab up all the tickets and turn around and resell them because they're going to get the back end. They're going to get their piece anyway. And as a result, they've been doing that for so long, right? And nobody noticed. It just so happened that Taylor Swift, a big name, came in and they did the same old routine, but they didn't change anything up to accommodate for the fact that Taylor Swift's tickets was going to be a big draw, and it crashed the site. So much so, like you mentioned, that people are jumping in. For instance, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think I said that correctly. She said, she put on Twitter, daily reminder that Ticketmaster is a monopoly. It's a merger with Live Nation, which is the company that kind of owns all the event venues where you go to actually see these events. Its merger with Live Nation should never have been approved, and they need to be reined in, break them up. And personally, I agree. I don't know a lot about the ticket industry. I don't know about event production, event promoting, but I know for a fact that Ticketmaster is purchase of Live Nation, and Live Nation's contracts with all these different ticket houses. It's like, for the artists, they can't get around going through Ticketmaster without actually, cutting into the audience that they can actually reach out to. So that's pretty much the debacle. So I just wanted to put it out there and get your takes on it as well.
Yeah, this is if you look at Ticketmaster, Live Nation, they are a monopoly based off of contracts. So when you think of like steel, if you go back to the 70s, you think of, or even before that, you go back to these big steel companies that produce steel, or you go to the car companies. Well, they were monopolies just because they were big enough to actually have, they had all the infrastructure to produce what they produce. There would be nothing from you and I starting getting some developers and starting a ticket company, where we can sell online tickets. The technology is not terribly difficult. What's difficult is, as you were saying, is that all of these contracts are in place. So the only one who can sell you the tickets is Ticketmaster. Mm-hmm. And if they don't have any competition, then they don't necessarily have to, make all these, these back end servers work. I think one of the issues was that they foresaw that there might be a run on Taylor Swift tickets. They made it so that you could actually sign up to to like a higher level of Ticketmaster account, or I guess you're paying like a fee so that you can get access first. And even those folks couldn't get tickets. So it's like even the things that they're creating to allow you to get tickets is not allowing you to get tickets just because they are the only place that you can go to do it. And there's no innovation in the industry because no one else can sell the tickets to you. So it'll be interesting to see where this one goes. And it's just funny to me, the stuff that actually can potentially get people in Congress to move on stuff. It's like, I couldn't buy tickets to Taylor Swift. Problem. Let's go see if we can figure it out how to figure it out with legislation. And as you're saying, this is one that probably needs to be fixed because it is a problem.
And one that people have been paying attention to, people have mentioned in our comments for the show that this has been an issue for a long time, right? For years. So much so that leads me to believe, I don't think it was like on the strength of Taylor Swift. Yeah, she's a big draw, but this is like the camel, the straw that broke the camel's back. There is like, all right, enough of this, right? So then I just wanted to quote Ticketmaster's response to this whole issue. Initially, they blamed the pre-sale issues on record-setting demand. Live Nation, again, which is a parent company of Ticketmaster, is a parent company of Live Nation, defended against the monopoly allegations with a statement responding to the Justice Department's investigation. So Justice Department said, hey, we're going to look into this. The company claimed that Ticketmaster's dominance in the market was due to its quality, calling Ticketmaster, quote unquote, the most transparent and fan-friendly ticketing system in the United States. Live Nation cited the approval of its merger in 2010 and the consent decree that followed afterwards, yada, yada, yada. Ticketmaster statement, Live Nation reiterated its commitment to improvement. So basically what they said was the reason why the merger is legit and reason why they're not a monopoly is because they're a pretty good ticketing system, which again, the whole point of a monopoly doesn't mean that you're pretty good. The whole point of a monopoly means you're the only one that can able to compete at this level. Everybody else is just like slim pickings, and it has to be artists have to be big enough, like Taylor Swift, to decide whether or not they're going to put their tickets on Ticketmaster at all. They're going to take a hit if they don't do it, but they can take that hit. Some of these other smaller acts, some of these smaller bands, some of these smaller groups, they can't say, nah, I don't want to mess with Live. I don't want to have an event at a venue owned by Live Nation, and I don't want to put my tickets on Ticketmaster because of X, Y, and Z reasons. If they do that, they out here in the dark, pretty much doing everything on their own, because Ticketmaster puts you in front of a lot of people, and Live Nation gives you the availability to work at all these different venues versus being constrained to the small amount of venues that if you decided not to do a Live Nation and decided not to go on Ticketmaster, people want to buy tickets, right? I know if I want to buy a ticket to a basketball game, football game, concert, go to Ticketmaster. If I'm trying to find an event from this artist that I want to find out, and I got to go to ticketsondemand.io /company/biz, right? And I got to create an account and I got to jump through all these hoops. I just want to go to Ticketmaster and buy the tickets. So that just puts these artists and these venues at the mercy of Ticketmaster and Live Nation, much so than anybody else, to where there's no competition. There's no competition out there for Ticketmaster and Live Nation for them to fool somebody into thinking that they're not a monopoly. And I just don't understand how they get here.
So I'm thinking through this, and I can see a way where individual artists, could do this. The problem is that it can't just be one or two. It has to be a lot of folks doing this. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to create an email list. If you are a fan of mine and you rock with me, get on my email list. Going to find out when I'm going to be in your city. When I have new releases, I'm going to put that out. You're putting out regular content to your fans, to your fanatics that are following you. And if you decide to not go through Ticketmaster, but you got a couple 100,000 people on your email list and you show up in your city, people are going to tend to buy tickets through you if they rock with you to that point to where they were on your email list in the first place. And I can't remember who this artist was, but he was talking about this, and he was saying how he's done this here in the States and he's done this overseas. He was like, I try not to have to deal with any third parties that keep me from getting directly to my people. It's like, yeah, I may not sell 1 million tickets, but I don't need to. If I can sell 100,000, but I get the money, the money is coming to me. And basically I'm just paying my processing fee to have you buy my tickets. I probably make more than dealing with these large, giant, corporations. So I just think that it would take a lot of artists to say, hey, nah, I'm not dealing with Ticketmaster anymore. I'm not dealing with Live Nation anymore. And there is, there's downsides to that. You're not going to get stadiums. You're not going to get the biggest venues that a Taylor Swift is going to get. So, so it's like, it's that balancing act. What do you do? It's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But this was an interesting story. I'm glad you stuck it in there because it's just like, wow, the thing that's sticking in my head, and you may be right, that this may not have as much to do with Taylor Swift as it has to do with this was just the needle that finally, broke the proverbial camel's back. But the story that's sticking in my head is that Taylor Swift is a big star. She's worldwide recognizable. And because some congressmen couldn't get tickets for themselves or tickets for their kids, that's why this is now being investigated to see whether or not it is a monopoly and if it needs to be broken up. That is just, it's not even it's funny to me that that's what's happening. It's not even like a shocking anymore because it's like, I know where we live. But this was a big deal. It's like, people couldn't buy tickets. I saw all kind of comedians making jokes about it and this and that and the other. Trevor Noah, he basically was literally while he's doing his show trying to get tickets and stuff like that. I thought it was funny.
Which again, like you mentioned, making jokes about it is cool. But these artists, because Trevor Noah has a comedy tour, and I'm pretty sure he goes through Ticketmaster. So it's like enough. The time has come, when it comes to things like this, for people to stop talking about it, and they need to do something. Again, like you mentioned, it's going to have to be a large amount of people doing things in unison, because other than that, the competition is going to get squashed because Ticketmaster knows it's like, look, we got y'all. What y'all going to do about it? Go to somebody else? Ha ha ha. Tell me another joke.
So Terrance, for this next story, I don't know if we really talked about this on this show. I don't know if many of our listeners are gamers. I don't know. I don't think I would consider myself a gamer. I am just an adult that plays games probably more than an hour a week. I don't know if that puts me into the gamer category. But for those who haven't heard, Microsoft, they announced this back, I want to say it was in January earlier this year, that they were going to be acquiring Activision Blizzard. And if you don't know, Activision Blizzard, they make some of the biggest games out there, namely Call of Duty is probably the biggest name game that you're going to hear. I've literally been playing Call of Duty for decades now. But they made this announcement back in January. But earlier this month, or actually I think it was last month, the EU decided to launch an investigation into the proposed merger because, I mean, this is big. I think it is a $68.7 billion, acquisition. That would put it as one of the biggest in history. And this is, it's because people are worried about what's going to happen if Microsoft now controls all of these games, namely Call of Duty. So there's a lot of folks that have PlayStations that have been worried about this. If you buy Activision, am I still going to be able to play Call of Duty? And that has been a recurring theme literally all year. So now, as I said, EU is launching an investigation, and Phil Spencer, who is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, he is now coming out. It seems like he's doing like a media tour where he's really telling anyone who was willing to listen, we are not going to make Call of Duty exclusive to the Xbox. You will be able to, get this for the foreseeable future. I believe they initially offered they offered Sony a 3-year contract. Sony did not like that. They've come back and they have now offered a 10-year contract, and we'll see, where that goes. And one of the things that was being said is that regardless of what side of this you sit on, you can't make contracts that go indefinitely. There has to be some limit on it, just for a lot of other reasons. But 10 years is a long time where, of course, they could renegotiate that before those 10 years are up. So, what do you think on this? Do you have a problem with a company, like Microsoft buying up this big, giant developer of games? Or are you cool?
I have a problem with it only because you can't trust companies. You just can't trust companies and corporations. I don't care what this, what's this guy's Phil Spencer says about what they're going to do with Call of Duty and PlayStation, and promising, he could promise all day long that Call of Duty is going to stay on PlayStation. If Microsoft decides that they don't want Call of Duty on PlayStation no more because of whatever reason, because they're trying to stick it to PlayStation, because whatever the case may be, guess what's going to happen? They're going to pull Call of Duty off of PlayStation. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, even though I do have a Xbox. I want to play with as many people. I want to play with as many people as possible. And Call of Duty is one of the first, if not the best, games that offers cross-platform playing with PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. It's one of the best to do it. And I don't put nothing past companies. I don't put nothing past profits. I don't put nothing past capitalism for Microsoft to buy Activision. A couple years go by and they say, we're going to make Call of Duty a Xbox only, which would be crazy. But then again, I don't put nothing past nobody, especially companies.
Yeah, because I was thinking, it's like, okay, what's the fine print? If you say you're going to keep it on there for 3 years, or you say that you're going to keep it, we will keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years. Well, that's what you've said. But does Microsoft come out with, it's not Call of Duty, it's just, like right now, even within Activision, there's been a split. You've got the Call of Duty and then you've got the Modern Warfare. Same game, but different game, but different people making the games within the same organization. It's kind of all of a mess. It would be really interesting to see how this works, going forward. I'm with you. I would hear what Microsoft would say, but would I trust it? I don't know that I would. And from Sony's standpoint, like I said, I don't know if we have a lot of gamers that that listen to this this particular show, because we don't really talk about games a lot on here. But the game that I've played most in my life is probably Madden, which I've actually retired. I stopped playing Madden, but I go all the way back to when I was in college playing Tecmo Bowl and Super Tecmo Bowl. And then when Madden came out, I think I got every version of Madden for probably close to 18, 19 years, and played hours and hours and hours and hours in that game. Call of Duty, I won't say it's a close second, but I have spent, when it comes to hours, I've spent more time in Call of Duty in probably every other game that I've ever played outside of Madden, and maybe The Division, which is another first-person shooter type game, because I've played that quite a bit as well. So if you include those two, I would say that, just Call of Duty, I have more time in that than I probably have in all other games combined. it is, and that's not just me, like saying someone who I'm not a gamer, I just play games. But when this latest version came out, I powered through it. I mean, I think it probably took me 2 weeks to get through the single player.
Oh yeah, I don't play a single player. I go straight to multiplayer, and that's all I play is Call of Duty. I don't play anything else. I can't think of. I think The Division was the last non-Call of Duty game that I played, and that moves too slow for me. So I need to play against other people, and I'm not a sports gamer, so Call of Duty is all I use. So,
but no, it is absolutely huge as far as games go. And now you've got like the Call of Duty now where they've got the free to play versions to where it's almost like playing Fortnite or something like that. You know, the battle royale style games. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of people who are playing this game at any given time. So it's massive. So I understand where Sony is coming from. I understand why the EU is looking at it, because this is a massive acquisition by Microsoft, and it's pushing $70 billion for a game company. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, I do want to ask you this: what are your thoughts on the new Call of Duty?
I actually, as far as I'm not a creature of habit, but that Modern Warfare, the one that came out in 2019. Where'd Rob go? Anyway,
I'm here.
Okay, your video faded out. The Call of Duty that came out in 2019. I love the audio, the sound of the sound of the footsteps, the sound of the action, the sound of the guns. That seems to me the most clear and concise audio mixing that I've ever heard in a video game. This next Call of Duty, Modern Warfare Part 2, the audio is not the same. The same that went with Cold War, the same with Vanguard, which is the two releases since the Modern Warfare. I don't like the audio in any of those. And even with this newer one, I can tell the audio is a little different. That Modern Warfare that came out in 2019 was the best audio mixing as far as guns, as far as, background noise, as far as music, as far as action. I love the audio of that one the most.
So I can't say I've even played attention to like the audio mixes or whatever. I just get into the game and like playing. The problem that I have is that, as I said, I don't call myself a gamer anymore, and we'll get my video fixed here in a second. I don't call myself a gamer anymore. But there are people who play this who are gamers. I mean, they spend major hours daily in this. And the ability for people to get so good so quickly in these games makes it, I don't want to say it makes it less fun, because it's still fun to play, because you can level up with people who are your level. But it's like, what did that dude just like somersault and shoot me with a sniper rifle? Like while somersaulting, it's like, did that just happen to me? And the folks are they just get so good in it. But like you said, one of the things that is cool about Call of Duty is that even though it has cross-play, my experience is that it's pretty seamless across platforms. It's hard to beat somebody good playing on with a keyboard and mouse. That's just because there's so many more options that you have.
And I don't even think it's that. I think the reason why computer gamers tend to be better is because the speed, the computing power, the video quality coming off of a PC is a split second faster than a PlayStation or an Xbox, which means that split second can be the difference between you getting a headshot, if we're talking about Call of Duty, and you dying. And I think that's the main differentiator, because I know a lot of PC gamers that use joystick and they still faster. I mean, that split second, that graphics card that costs thousands of dollars, yeah. that monitor, that 8K monitor that they are using is so much better than my Xbox and my LED TV. It's that split second that causes me to get dusted so many times, and I just be like, oh well, it's the game.
A buddy of ours, Chris Ashley, one of my co-hosts over on SMR podcast and host of, Barbecue and Tech podcast. He was basically trying to say, Rob, you're not going to understand it until you see it. When he actually went from his original Xbox to like the Xbox One X to where he's now playing and, was it 4K, is 8K? I'm not even sure what it is, but it's basically this much higher resolution than what I have and playing on an actual, I believe he's playing on an 8K gaming monitor. And he was like, the difference is that I can see more. So things that you just can't see, these games that have basically been remastered for this higher end system, even though you can play, you can play against me, I can play against you. I literally can see more than you can see. Therefore, I have, advantages that you don't have because there's things that I can see coming before you can see them coming, or I can sneak up on you because I can see where you are, but you can't see where I'm at. Just because, your frames are just not where my frames are. And I didn't get that until I actually had to get a new Xbox just because the old one, I got tired of replacing Transformers in the old one. So I went ahead and, and got a new one. I was like, oh, that's what he was talking about. It's like, it is literally the difference between night and day. It's like, if you've ever been in the stores, it's hard to see it now because people are so used to seeing HD and 4K TVs when you walk into Best Buy. But if you remember back in the day when you were walking in the Best Buy and you were seeing like the first HD TVs, the first 2K TVs compared to just standard like 720p or even low def, we're going back 10, 15 years ago, and you'd be looking at the TV and you would actually go and look at the backside of the TV to make sure you were looking at the TV and not like through a window or something because it looked that clear to you. Is that kind of difference. So if the PC gamers are just getting, because, if you think about it, man, what you would spend on an Xbox, that's half a graphics card, let alone the rest of the computer. I know people who will spend $200-300 on a mouse for gaming. They'll spend $200-300 on a keyboard specifically for gaming. That keyboard and that mouse costs more than the actual Xbox. So, yeah, they get not cheating. They just get advantages, from the ability of their hardware. So I don't know if we do have any gamers that are, that are listeners to us and you like us talking about gaming, let us know. We'll do it more. But
definitely hit me up. I need some squad to play with on Call of Duty. So hit me up. I'm at Brother Tech on Activision. So hit me up.
So, man, Christmas is soon coming. So I'm, Thanksgiving once it's here, I really ain't doing much in December mode, except playing video games. So I might have to hit you up. But see, last time I played with you, you was that dude doing somersaults, shooting people with sniper rifles.
Yeah, I'm a sniper. I'm a quick scoper. That's what I do.
And it's like, dude, how did you see that quick? So yes, maybe I'll jump on with you so you can give me some tips and tricks to just so that I can actually be respectable. I just like to have a positive, kill to death ratio. If I'm doing that, some of these dudes will be in there. They'll have 24 kills and 4 deaths. I don't need that. I just want to be like 11. Positive. 11-9. I want to be 13-8. That's a good game for me. What I don't want to be is 4-22 because now I feel like everybody else is carrying me just to get those 4 that I got. So that is a good one. So let's get into a couple of other these quick hit stories before we do something a little different. In this show, I don't think we've even done this before. We're going to get into some picks for the holiday season. But I did want to talk about something that, I just heard this today. Where Bob Iger, former CEO of Disney, is decided to come back as CEO, and they're ousting the current CEO. I think his name is Bob Chapek. And I guess the story is this guy became Bob became the CEO right at the beginning or right before the beginning of the pandemic. So clearly, once the pandemic, hit and it was affecting the theme parks adversely in the most significant way possible. Literally, we're in a global pandemic. People can't, be in contact with each other. He really focused on streaming and Disney and all that kind of stuff. But from the rumors that I've been reading, today on this is that he is a very managed by analytics type of guy. It's like, the numbers tell us that we need to do this. The numbers tell us that we need to do that. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it sounds like that was like purely his management style. If the numbers don't say something different, we're not going to do something different, or we are going to do something different. Whereas Bob Iger was more of a I don't want to say that gut feel, because he was at Disney for quite a while. He was a good manager there at Disney, but sometimes he would not allow numbers to dictate what he was going to do potentially for people. This makes sense because this is a good group. We're down this year, but we can come back. We'll get back with it. And I think that was more of his management style. And it sounds like the shareholders and the board are kind of feeling how he used to run things, and they've brought this dude back in. So like immediately Bob Chapek has stepped down, and Iger is now back at the helm, and he's saying he's only going to be there temporarily. He's going to be there for 2 years. With a mandate for, and I'm doing the quotes now for people who can't see me, renewed growth, and he's going to groom his successor. The only thing with that is that isn't Bob Chapek his groom successor? Didn't he kind of pick this guy the last time? So it's like, okay, well, if you didn't pick the right guy the last time, what makes you think you're going to pick the right guy again?
It could be that
Iger is back.
It could be that. It could also be that when Iger handed dude keys, this dude Chapek was like, all right, now I'm gonna do things the way I want to do things, and all right. CEOs, managers, whomever, the new guy, they always come in with all these plans on how they're going to do things different, yada, yada, yada. And like you mentioned, this Chapek guy was a heavy analytics guy, but, not his fault. The epidemic, coronavirus hit, and that kind of derailed probably some of the things that he could have put in place. And as a result, since you are the guy, you're going to take a hit for the pandemic. That's what word I was looking for, the pandemic, even if that wasn't your fault. Now, what was his fault was that whole Don't Say Gay bill that Florida passed, and company and people were looking towards companies to say, hey, this is dumb. We don't agree with this. What say you, companies? Specifically Disney, which is the biggest company in Florida. And Disney was like, and they waited too late, and then they saw what everybody was doing. It's like, oh yeah, us too. And in addition to that, he criticized Scarlett Johansson for suing because of the whole deal with her. She was supposed to get some money as it relates to streaming, but the Disney tried to pull a fast one, and she was like, no. What was supposed to happen was X, Y, and Z. So they got a little bit of kerfuffle about that. So with those three things, I think was why they was like, nah, we need to get somebody else in here.
Yeah, he did the one thing with that, with that bill that a company of Disney's stature just can't do. He stuck his finger in his mouth, wet his finger, and then put his finger up and waited to see which way is the wind blowing. And a lot of companies do that. Disney cannot do that. For when you go to Orlando is Disney. I mean, it's everywhere. It's it is a humongous driver of revenue, for that city and for that state, to the point to where, I mean, they had their own laws and stuff. The current administration is kind of, bucking that trend, where they've had these special arrangements with the governments and stuff like that. But Disney is huge, and he couldn't do that. That was one of those times where Disney needed to lead on that, because it was going to be other companies that were going to look to Disney and say, well, what's Disney doing? Okay, well, that's what we're doing. And that, I remember that just made, it made Disney look really, 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 really bad, when they didn't come out, regardless of what the stand they took. This fact, they just didn't take one.
They ain't take one.
They didn't take any stand. So it looked like we're just going to wait and see what happens, and then we'll tell you what we think, which is not what people were looking to hear from that company. But it's going to be interesting. He's going to be there for another 2 years, and we will see how this is ultimately going to go. I am soon getting ready to do what I always do with my media plans, as far as like my streaming media plans, to where I believe that I'm coming up soon on the last episode of Andor, the Star Wars story. When I come up on that, if there is nothing else that I'm just like, oh, I'm really into watching this, I will give it a month. And if there's nothing else on within a month, then I have to let Disney Plus go. And it's been working for me. So it's like, I end up canceling services darn near monthly because there's something that I'm just not watching for a month. The only one that I won't do that with is Amazon. That's because I do truly use Amazon's Amazon services.
So I don't do that. What I do is I've started to convert or take advantage of some of these deals that are rolled into some of my other services that I use. For example, I was paying for Peacock Plus. Is it Peacock or Peacock? Anyway,
Yeah.
I was paying for that for soccer because I'm getting into soccer a lot, and come to find out that you get free months, or you get credits back via American Express. You got to sign up for the offer. You pay for Peacock, they credit your bill, right? So I took advantage of that. And then Netflix, since I'm a T-Mobile user and I've got 5 lines if you count my Apple Watch on T-Mobile. And with T-Mobile, they give you like a super deal on Netflix. So I disconnected my regular Netflix account, which I just transferred it over. Same stuff. It's just I signed on for it under my T-Mobile plan. So I pay for it with my bill for T-Mobile. It pays for Netflix, but instead of paying $14 or $19, I think I'm only paying $7 or $8 because that's the deal. So I've started doing more of that thing. It's like, all right, what services do I already use? Like, for instance, has nothing to do with streaming, but Grubhub has a deal with Amazon. Since I'm an Amazon Prime as well, you get Grubhub to where they cancel your delivery fees. So I'm starting to do stuff like that. Find out what services that I already use, find out what deals they're offering, and then sign up for those versus trying to split everything out. So
I do that where it makes sense to do that. But sometimes it's just like, yeah, I'm not, I don't have HBO Max. That was the last one I got rid of because there's nothing on HBO Max and I'm watching. So let me just cancel that, save myself however much. I know that one's going to be going up soon when they get this Discovery Plus merger.
They're all going up. I'm getting emails left and right. Apple TV Plus went up. Netflix went up. Disney went up. They all like, all right, let's go up at the same time.
So it's like, man, I'm gonna start just reading books more because it's like it's getting too expensive to get all these streaming.
Well, I'm not doing that. I'd rather look at the wall than read a book. But that's just me.
I am excited about this last segment that we're going to get into because this one's a little different. We have not done this on the Tech Jawn yet, but it's Thanksgiving is Thursday, Black Friday is Friday, Cyber Monday is next Monday. It's a week from today. So I figured that it would be just knowing that we're getting into the holiday season. Now I know for some folks, holiday season started probably the day after Christmas last year. And for many others, the official start to the holiday season, we used to say that it was Thanksgiving. I think Memorial Day is the official start now. I mean, it's like folks start shopping for holidays so early at this point. But
yeah, I'd say around July when things start.
But what we decided to do is, and I hit Terrance up this morning and just say, hey man, why don't we see if we can come up with some products, some gadgets that you might want to look out for. See if you can't get yourself a deal on something coming up. These are the kind of things that often will, you will find a good Cyber Monday or Black Monday deal. And honestly, man, almost everything you buy, you can find a good deal for on Cyber Monday or or Black Friday. And these things, you no longer have to wait until Friday or Monday. They literally started weeks ago, and they just kind of go until a couple weeks after Christmas, into the first, second week of January. So I'm going to go first here, with a little device here. So my first pick is the Anker Nano 3 30-watt USB-C charger. Go ahead.
Before you get started, Are there any special parameters? Is it just something you thought that was a good deal? Is this something that you use? Is this something you think our audience is going to use? What was your parameters for picking these?
This is I am a tech gadget fiend. These are the
Okay.
kind of things that I would get for myself.
Okay.
And oftentimes do, which infuriates my family because they can never buy me anything because I don't wait for if there's something I want, I just kind of go get it. So these are things that many of them I already own, or we're going to see if I can't hold off another 6 weeks, five weeks or however long we have until until Christmas comes. So like I said, the first one I'm picking is the Anker Nano 3 30-watt USB-C fast charger. Reason I'm picking this is because I believe, Terrance, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Was it back in 2020? Was the iPhone 12? Was that the first iPhone to come without a charger brick in the box?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we're a couple years into no chargers.
I think it was 11. I take it back. I think
The
it was
11?
iPhone 11. Yeah.
So I know it's been several years. Like I said, 2020 is I think the year that it happened. Maybe 2019. But anyway. What I'm starting to notice now is that I have nieces and nephews and just like friends and family who are getting new phones, but they're not getting these new bricks. And they're always saying, "Man, how does your phone charge so fast?" Because I literally have a 60-watt charger. So my phone charges ridiculously fast because I'm putting all that power into it. Well, they're still using their original chargers from their iPhones from years ago that weren't fast chargers. So this was just a good pick. It's not, terribly expensive. I think it's like under $25. And it does fast charge. It'll charge your iPhone 14 up pretty darn quick. Or any, the charger is USB-C. So you plug whatever cable you want to plug into it and then plug that into your device. So it'll support, clearly USB-C. It'll also support the, what is the charger called on the iPhone? Lightning, support the USB to Lightning cable.
Right.
And they're cute, as my daughter has told me, because they come in like multiple of these pastel colors that, chances are you can match it up to a recent iPhone or Android
smaller
device. And they are very tiny. And one of the things I like about them is that they actually fold in. The prongs fold in. Mm-hmm. So they're so small, you could literally put it in your pocket and not feel out of place. I mean, you wouldn't even notice it in there. It's they're very, very small.
Yep, I have one of these, and I have the Anker multi-port that's got 2 or 3 of these, and then like a USB-A port as well. So I can
right. So like I said, and we'll put links to all the stuff in our show notes. So anybody who's listening, you don't have to try to remember what we're telling you. You can go just download the show, look at the show notes, and it'll be right there. But I'm an Anker fan. I have bought multiple Anker devices from multiple people in my family, and like I said, this is one that that I actually got for someone. I was like, yeah, it's actually not it's not a bad gift. It's a nice little stocking stuffer. So it is once again is the Anker Nano 3 30-watt USB-C fast charger.
All right. So my parameters for picking stuff is something that I already have or something I'm looking at getting myself. So I didn't want to be out here like, oh yeah, I think you should get this. Then somebody asked me a question about it. I don't know. I guess, this is stuff either I'm interested in or already have, or stuff that I'm actually actively looking for, either for Christmas presents for myself or for others. So actually the first one I'm listing is one I already have and I already use on a regular basis. It's a SanDisk 2 terabyte portable solid state drive, and right now it's on sale at Amazon for $150, which actually is $300. I had to read this a couple times to make sure that I got the price right. Normally on Amazon, this 2 terabyte portable SSD, which is about as small as, I don't know if you're for those listening, you got to pretend like I'm using my fingers, but about the size of maybe smaller than a match of cards, or like about smaller look.
It's a little smaller. It's smaller than a credit card.
Yeah. And so I had to read this to make sure it's right. On Amazon, the list price for this 2 terabyte portable solid state drive is $459. It is 67% off and is actually on sale for $150. And I don't know if you use external hard drives out there. External hard drives are cheap nowadays. Solid state is the way to go, but you can put this on a keychain, and for $150 have 2 terabytes of storage on you. I actually use this on a regular basis for editing videos between the Tech Jawn, between my own videos, between Snob OS. I'm editing videos and uploading videos and saving a lot of video footage, which can be big, right? So I actually use this and I actually have my editing library on this drive that I actually use. So that's my pick. Again, this is the SanDisk 2 terabyte Extreme portable solid state on Amazon for $150.
Yeah, I have a couple of these. In fact, I just bought one not too long ago, probably in the last 3 or 4 months, because the other one I was running out of space on it. And although it has like the $459.99 on here on Amazon, it wasn't that. I want to say,
yeah, that's what I say.
I think the regular price is like maybe $189 for the 2 terabytes. So still, you're still getting like a $40 discount on here, but you're not getting that ridiculous discount that, like I said, this is listed at $459.99. I've never seen this cost that, and I would not recommend anybody spend that much on this because there are other ones you can get that would cost less. But yeah, these things are great, and they're tanks, man. They're darn near. I don't want to say they're indestructible. I don't want to say that. So I don't want people going out and, and tossing them in the street or anything like that. But they are rugged. Like, Terrance says, you can put this on your keychain. I'm not sticking mine on my keychain. It just goes in the bag, but I wouldn't be worried about it if it were. I wouldn't be worried about it clinking into other keys, or I drop my keys or something like that, and it hits the ground. This thing feels like it would bounce and just keep going. I mean, it feels like Lego. It's like, I don't want to say it's as indestructible as Lego, but it's like it seems like it is very, very well put together. So that's a good pick.
All right.
So my next one here is it's got a weird name, but I'll explain what it is. But it's called the VG Magnetic Levitating Light Bulb Desk Lamp. So imagine a circular, imagine like a wireless charger, sits flat on your desk, and above the wireless charger is just a light bulb that floats upright and is lit. That's the best way to try to, picture what this thing is. It's like it's got this base with a magnet in it and sends power into the light bulb, and you stick the light bulb, when you turn it on, you stick the light bulb over top of the magnet, and it literally just floats above and is balanced perfectly above this platform, and it just floats there. I mean, you could run your finger under it. Like, you got to do it quickly, because if you put it there too long, it'll actually make the light fall down. But you can run your finger under it. The light is literally just floating there in the middle of the air. And it's pretty cool. I had one on a desk, years ago, and I don't know what happened to it. It's like, I ended up leaving this position. I'm certain that I put it into a box. I just can't remember what I did with it. So I was like, I kind of like that thing. I cannot find it. I don't know if I accidentally threw it away or something like that. So I want to get another one. So this one, as I said, it is called the VG Magnetic Levitating Light Bulb Desk Lamp. It comes in 2 versions. The one that I really like is the one that I've explained, where it's the saucer and the light above the saucer, and it's just floating. There's another one where it's almost like a lamp, to where the lamp comes up, it's got a curve on it, and then the light bulb hangs from the curved part of the lamp. So literally the light bulb is hanging down below the magnet, and it's just hanging in the air. And that one looks pretty cool as well. So these are both, once again, they're on Amazon. I want to say they're roughly in the $70, $80 range or something like that. But it is the VG Magnetic Levitating Light Bulb Desk Lamp.
All right. So let's see. Where my notes at? Let's see. All right. So my next one is AirTags. Everybody's familiar with Apple AirTags, but Amazon has a little deal, $25 off for $75. And the reason why I advocate for these is because, of course, like I mentioned before, I have them and they actually come in handy. I actually put a couple in my daughter's bag. She went with a band trip and they went out of town. So she was able to watch or keep an eye on her luggage while she was, playing in the band, make sure nobody was in her stuff, make sure it gets lost, things of that nature. In addition to that, we've seen, let me rephrase, I have seen a bunch of stories in the news as it relates to people using air tags to, of course, not track people. That's not what it's for. You can't be tracking your baby mama. Can't be, tracking out where your man is when he's supposed to be, quote unquote, at work. This is for lost and found, to find your luggage. I've seen stories, countless stories where people have been able to use air tags to let the police know where their bags are, so then the police can actually go and recover their lost items, whether it be a bag, you got expensive equipment in it, or if it's just luggage that you need to find out, the airline is telling you, we don't know where your luggage is. I saw a story to where somebody said, I'm actually looking at my luggage right now and it says it's in your airport. And then, all of a sudden, mysteriously, your luggage shows up. So if you're a travel person that likes to travel and you like to check a lot of bags, you're not doing the carry-ons, or if you just want peace of mind, I would definitely suggest air tags, especially if you're an Apple user. Like I said, these are on sale for $75, which I think is about $25 off. Not a big deal, but definitely something I would advocate for.
Okay. So my last pick here is called the Razer Kishi V2 for Android or iOS. What this device is basically a controllers to play games on your smartphone. So imagine a Xbox or PlayStation controller that's split in the middle. You can slide the two halves of the controller apart, slide your device in. It'll be Lightning for the iPhone. It'll be USB-C for Android. Then snap back together, and you now have your phone in between very, very good Xbox-like controllers. And that's what the Razer Kishi V2 is. Now, I had the version 1, and and it was cool. It was one of those things where I say, like, I am a gadget fiend. So even though I don't play a lot of video games on my phone, it was kind of cool to have. And trust me when I tell you, it makes playing any type of shooting game or driving game or any game where you're trying to use your thumbs on the screen, as compared to, playing like, the games where you just have like tiles dropping, or, Candy Crush type games. But when you actually need to be, you use manual dexterity and your thumbs to control stuff, these controllers make things significantly better. I had the version 1, but I wasn't using it, so I kind of gave it to my nephew. But I saw that they have version 2 out. And I will just say this for anybody, if you play, video games on your relatively new smartphone, let's just say something newer than, you've gotten it since 2020, you can play every bit of game that you would play on something like a Nintendo Switch. These phones are high powered enough that you can play significant games, and you'll just enjoy them more if you have the actual controls. This has, left D-pad, right D-pad, thumb, triggers. It's got, index finger triggers, multiple of them. It's basically like using an Xbox controller, or almost like using like an Xbox Elite controller, or a PS, like a PS2 or PS3 or 4 or 5 controller that has all those buttons on it. And it just gives you all kind of ability to play these games with. So once again, like I said, I don't have the version 2, but everything that I've read about the version 2, it just trumps version 1 in almost every way. So if you at all play games, or ever would think you would play a game on your mobile device, whether it be Android or iOS, check out the Razer Kishi V2 for Android or iOS.
All right. And then my last one is the Apple Watch SE, the most current version of the Apple Watch. You got to go to Walmart to get this one, but get $50 off at $150 for the latest Apple Watch SE. So I'm actually looking at this for one of my kids for Christmas, because maybe a year or so ago, we bought her the Apple Watch version 3, which was already long in the tooth at the time we purchased it. So it's showing its age, super slow, doesn't connect as fast, doesn't transmit messages as fast. So looking to upgrade her for Christmas. So definitely looking for a Apple Watch. So I may pick this one up for my daughter. Like I mentioned, it is on sale for $150. $150, which normally I think are $199. So definitely check that out. Like I said, you got to go to Walmart to get it, but definitely check that one out.
Good pick, man. So I actually like this segment. With the holidays coming up, maybe we'll do it a time or two again before Christmas gets here. In case anybody is interested in just what we think is good tech that you might want to go out there and get. But we are to that time in the show where we have to acknowledge our patrons. So for those of you who don't know, the Tech Jawn is a podcast, an audio listening experience first, but we do record it. There are folks who are actually watching us right now live record this show. And one of the ways that you can actually do that is to become a patron of the Tech Jawn. So I want to shout out, www.patreon.com/the Tech Jawn for anyone who wants to become a patron, like Chris Palmer, who just became one a few days back. So Chris Palmer is our latest, patron who is supporting us over on Patreon. We want to shout out to you and say thank you for helping us do what we do. And once again, for anybody else who's interested in becoming a patron and supporting the show and getting access to our Discord and to potentially RSS free ad free RSS feeds and being able to watch us live stream the show, it is patreon.com/the Tech Jawn. We thank once again Chris Palmer. So with that, my friend Terrance, we are at the end of the show. As folks probably realize, Stephanie is not here. She will be back next week. And until that time, we need to go ahead and tell folks how they can get at us. So why don't you tell Terrance how folks can get at you?
Find me everywhere at BrotherTech, BrothaTech. Like I said, on Twitter, on Instagram. Well, on Twitter until they figure out what Twitter is going to do with itself. Instagram, and like I mentioned, at Activision, at BrotherTech.
And I am at Robb Dunewood on all the things. And we are also at the Tech Jawn on all the things. So come check us out. Holler at us. Let us know how your tech life is going. Until we meet in a week's time. Peace.